Hi, everybody. Welcome to my homestead and welcome to my channel. My name is Jared. If you haven't already, please make sure to subscribe. I came across this article in the church newsroom. Light the World launches in Kansas City, Missouri. From Union Station to the football field, Light the World officially launches in Kansas City. Now, there are many locations across the world that have these giving machines, but they decided to highlight Kansas City. And I'm not exactly sure why, but you can see Elder Gong went to inaugurate this year's, giving machines. And I've just noticed that it seems like the church recently has had its focus or a little bit of additional focus on Kansas City, which could be significant because the Kansas City metro area has Independence, Missouri, which is the site of the New Jerusalem. Before I go any further, I always have to do this because some people think that we're no longer going to build New Jerusalem in Jackson County, usually citing this scripture, Doctrine and Covenants 124, verses 49 to 51. And they'll focus on this where it says, "It behooveth me to require that work no more at the hands of those sons of men, but to accept their offerings." And so people will just stop there and be like, yeah, we don't have to build it anymore. The New Jerusalem is now Salt Lake City. It was going to be Jackson County, but that's not the case anymore. And that's not true. This is my spreadsheet called Quotes Common Misconceptions. We're looking at the topic New Jerusalem on row 24, the misconception we have been excused from building New Jerusalem in Jackson County, Missouri. I'm not going to read this entire thing. It's not the point of this video, but just remember Doctrine and Covenants 101, 17 through 20, where it says, Zion shall not be moved out of her place. There is none other place appointed than that which I have appointed. Neither shall there be any other place appointed than that which I have appointed. Later on, you have all these statements from, presidents of the church and apostles, Brigham Young, Orson Pratt, Lorenzo Snow. Let me just read some of this right here. This is President Joseph Fielding Smith. City of Zion and temple yet to be built. This is from Doctrines of Salvation, by the way. Nearly 100 years have passed since the site of Zion was dedicated and the spot for the temple was chosen. And some members of the church seem to be fearful lest the word of the Lord shall fail. Others have tried to convince themselves that the original plan has been changed and that the Lord does not require at our hands this mighty work, which has been predicted by the prophets of ancient times. We have not been released from this responsibility, nor shall we be. The word of the Lord will not fail. And if you need something just a little bit more recent, one, you can go to the church's Doctrine and Covenants student manual where it talks about it. But we have from President Nelson himself. This is under the misconception the center place will be in Salt Lake City, not Independence, Jackson County, Missouri. This is in his book called Daily Joy, page 150, and he talks about the New Jerusalem being in Jackson County. So, yes, it is the site of the New Jerusalem. So, going back to this, there's something, before we get into this article, there's something really interesting I noticed before this came out. So, I have a spreadsheet that's for myself and for other LDS influencers that I share with them. And it lists right now I have all YouTube channels and Instagram accounts that I know of where the content creator is a member of the church. This includes not just private accounts, but also official accounts like, the church's various social media accounts. And as I was updating the Instagram one, I noticed that you have these Instagram accounts for Light the World or for the giving machines. And so I was putting these on the spreadsheet, right? And by the way, make sure to follow me on Instagram. If you don't like to access my spreadsheets or you find that difficult to do, I try and post as many quotes as possible on my Instagram so you can access them here. And you can look at my story highlights where I have these different categories like Sign of the Son of Man, Millennium, Rising Generation. And then there's also additional content that I do here that I don't do on YouTube. So I noticed that it seems like the church has these Instagram accounts for the giving machines. Like this seems to be the main one. And you'll see that it has 6,400 followers. After that, the next biggest one that I've been able to find, aside from like the main one, is this one, Giving Machine, Kansas City, with almost 3,300 followers. After that, you have the Southern California account, Houston, Idaho with about 1,500, Las Vegas, 1,100, and then Salt Lake City, not even breaking 1,000, 878, and then Orem after that. And this is in descending order. Sydney, like Australia, Auckland, New Zealand, Solihull. I'm not sure where that's at. Let me know in the comments below if you know where Solihull is. So here's Brisbane, London. So I don't know. I don't know that I've found them all. I've tried to look, but these are the only ones that I've been able to find. And Kansas City is at the top of the list, aside from the official account itself, like for all the giving machines. Kansas City is at the top of the list. So I find that kind of interesting. Also, I just want to point out really quick, remember that in this last general conference, we had this talk by Elder Quentin L. Cook. The name of the talk was Sacred Scriptures, the Foundations of Faith. And he brought up the Kansas City Chiefs. He says, last June, Coach Andy Reid, head football coach of the Kansas City Chiefs, and I, along with others representing our faith and other faiths, spoke in a multi-faith event at the Riverside Church in New York City. And if it's not clear, Coach Andy Reid, the head football coach of the Kansas City Chiefs, he's a member of the church. And so this was brought up in general conference. They did this thing together in New York City. And so I don't know. I don't know if it's because of Coach Andy Reid. I don't know if like somehow like it's somehow tied into the fact that the New Jerusalem is going to be there in the Kansas City area. I don't know what's going on, but it feels like something's going on. Okay. So let's go here. And then I have a few more things to show you. Okay. Dignitaries joined community organizations and a senior church leader on Saturday, November 30th, 2024, to unveil Light the World giving machines inside historic Union Station in Kansas City, Missouri. Elder W. Garrett, what? That's a typo. Elder Garrett W. Gong, or maybe it's W. Garrett W. Gong. That's a typo. A member of the Quorum of the 12 Apostles of the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints addressed a large holiday gathering of families, noting the benefit of the giving machines. Quote, in this world where there are many needs, none of us can do everything, but every one of us can do something, Elder Gong said. The Light the World giving machines are large red vending machines scattered across 107 cities. So again, I don't know that each one of these has an Instagram account because I haven't been able to find them so far, but that's how many there are, or how many cities. Across 107 cities, 13 countries, in 5 continents. They are now in their 4th year in Kansas City. Unlike traditional vending machines, these machines are about giving rather than receiving. Quote, Kansas City does a heck of a job bringing everyone out here to these giving machines, said Michael Parson, the governor of Missouri. And I've been to a lot of them. Yeah, it seems like they do a heck of a job, or, I mean, otherwise, I don't know how you explain so many people following the Kansas City Giving Machines Instagram account. I don't know why that's happening. I don't know why. It may have to do with the church working with the Kansas City Chiefs here. And so like a lot of like Chiefs fans have decided to follow the giving machines. I don't know. That may have something to do with it. The Kansas City Chiefs, if you didn't know, they've been going to the Super Bowl a lot recently. This is a list of all the Super Bowls. The first time that they had been to the Super Bowl in a long time was in 2020. You have to go all the way back to, oh yeah, that's right. It was 50 years. Yeah, 50 years later. Back in 1970, that was the last time that they'd gone to the Super Bowl. They beat the Minnesota Vikings. And then they also went to the first Super Bowl, but they lost to the Green Bay Packers. So 50 years go by. That's interesting. I think I've noted that before, and other people have put it in the comments. And then of all years, this city, the city that encompasses the future site of the metro area that encompasses the future site of the New Jerusalem, goes to the Super Bowl after 50 years in the year 2020 of all years. And they beat San Francisco. They win again the next year, but they lost to the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Then they didn't go in 2022. And then they went in 2023, beat the Philadelphia Eagles. And then they win again this last time. This time it was in Las Vegas, which is known as Sin City. And again, they were going against the San Francisco 49ers, which is also not known for its righteousness. I'm not saying that you're bad if you're from San Francisco, but San Francisco is known for a lot of good things, but also a lot of bad things. I did a video because there was so much just seeming symbolism going on with that Super Bowl. So much that I made a video that was an hour and a half long. I'll put a link for it in the description box below. It's this one right here. But it just feels like something is going on here. It really does. In these key years, 2020 and then 2024, this has been just an incredible year, and it's not even over yet. And I want to point out, you'll notice here this Super Bowl where it was Kansas City versus Philadelphia. I was looking in the scripture citation index to see if there were any other times that the Kansas City Chiefs had been brought up in General Conference. And I came across this. So, excuse me. So this was the October 2008 General Conference. The name of the talk, Welcome to Conference. So it's the first talk of that General Conference by President Thomas S. Monson. And in that conference, the temples were announced first. Usually, I'd probably have to put together a spreadsheet to know for sure, but usually they're announced at the end. But in this case, it was the first session. And this is the one where he announced the Rome, Italy temple. I didn't realize until today, though, that it was in this same group of temples that the Kansas City temple was announced. So these are two very significant temples, right? Now, this isn't the temple of New Jerusalem because it's not in Independence, Missouri, but to have our first temple in church history in the Kansas City area, that's really significant. And along with that, you had the Philadelphia, Pennsylvania temple. We were just talking about the Philadelphia Eagles and the Super Bowl between Kansas City and Philadelphia. So, and this is also a very significant city because Philadelphia, that's where we got the Declaration of Independence and the United States Constitution. Both of those were adopted and ratified in Philadelphia. So you have Kansas City, the Kansas City area, the site of the New Jerusalem. You have Philadelphia, Declaration of Independence and Constitution, and then you have Rome, Italy, which of course that's been we all know the history of Rome, the Catholic Church, the early apostles during Christ's dispensation. So this was really quite the trio of temples to be announced. And President Monson, I'll put a link for the video in the description box below, but if you go to about the 6-minute mark, you have to watch how he announces the Rome, Italy temple. He paused for a minute and he really underscored the importance of that temple. So I would encourage you to watch this. Okay. So Kansas City, you guys, the New Jerusalem. And here we have more interaction with the church in Kansas City. Kansas City does a heck of a job bringing everyone out here to these giving machines. Okay, his comments were echoed by Quentin Lucas, the mayor of Kansas City. Quote, "More than 4 years ago, several very special people came to me from the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints and said, We want to do something special and different, and it relates to vending machines, end quote. Later on, the event was emceed by prominent philanthropist Tavia Hunt, the wife of Clark Hunt, owner of the NFL's Kansas City Chiefs, and Tammy Reid, the spouse of Super Bowl winning Chiefs head coach Andy Reid. So here you go. You have this interaction with the Kansas City Chiefs, with Andy Reid being a member of the church and his wife as well. To further spread the light of Christ, Elder and Sister Gong also participated in a local sing-along fireside with the Bonner family on Thanksgiving. Oh yeah, and the Bonner family, I know about them because of my spreadsheet that I have. Let's see, the Bonner family. So this is their...
We are the Bonner family.
I'll put a link for it in the description box below. All right, so these guys were there. Okay, the next day, the Gongs were in attendance as the Bonners sang the national anthem at the Kansas City Chiefs football game and performed the Light the World anthem during a halftime program. So I don't know, maybe it's like stuff like this that led to all these followers on Instagram of the Kansas City Giving Machines Instagram account. But whatever, it's just, this is really neat to see. I like to see this play out. I want to see the church do more and more with Kansas City. I myself am trying to move to Kansas City. If you're new to the channel, I live in Kansas, in South Central Kansas, kind of near Wichita. And we've just been feeling the prompting to move to the Kansas City area. I still want to live probably like in a small town or out in the country. So I don't necessarily want to live in the city. But we were trying to move earlier this year, but we realized that we have to buy a new septic, entirely a new septic. It's going to be like $17,000. So we're probably going to be able to do it either next year, possibly the year after that. We'll just have to see how things go. But we're trying to make our way up there. We want to be close to those church sites. And because, you know, like earlier this year, last year, we went to a bunch of the church sites, including Adam-on-the-Amen, Far West, Hans Mill, Independence, Missouri, the Liberty Jail, the Kansas City Temple. And there's just a really, at least for us, and I know with a lot of you feel a really powerful spirit there. You know, the reason why the New Jerusalem is designated in Independence, Missouri, is because that's the location of the Garden of Eden. In our church, that's where the Garden of Eden is. Adam and Eve were cast out of the Garden of Eden. They went northeast to Adam-on-the-Amen, which essentially was the first, like after the fall, it was the first temple area. That's where Adam built his altars. There was like this one, so there were like two altars, one for prayer and then another one for sacrifice. The one for sacrifice was made up of three large rocks or boulders, and they were like set back one from another, like the pulpits of the Kirtland Temple. And any assembly room, any temple that has an assembly room that has those pulpits, like those three pulpits, those are patterned after Adam's altar, the first temple area after the fall. So that's why Zion's not going to be moved out of its place, because it's the site of the Garden of Eden where humanity started. That's going to be one of the two world capitals during the millennium. In fact, I almost forgot this. President Nelson, in his last general conference talk, he said this: Jesus Christ will govern from both Old Jerusalem and the New Jerusalem, built upon the American continent. From these two centers, he will direct the affairs of the church, or of his church. Under footnote 7, there's a number of different, there's a number of different scriptures that takes you to, but one of them is Doctrine and Covenants 84, verses 2 through 4. And it talks about the location of the New Jerusalem being in the western boundaries of the state of Missouri. So he made sure to include that in his footnotes. I think President Nelson is thinking about it. I know the church has been thinking about it. Again, I'm not going to do the entire thing here. Just do a search for Independence Visitor Center on my channel. You can also go to my spreadsheets. But the Independence Visitor Center in Independence, Missouri it was built to be a visitor center, but it was built to be one of the future temples of the 24 temple complex. Okay. They built it according to the specifications revealed to Joseph Smith for the temples of the 24 temple complex. So it's a temple in waiting. And right next to it, we have a stake center. So we have a people there. We have a temple in waiting. And just interesting things have been going on, it feels like, recently with Kansas City. So I'm excited about it. I hope that you are too. And we'll just have to wait and see how things go. Okay, so yeah, make sure to follow me on Instagram for additional content or as an alternative to access some of my quotes that I've collected. If you haven't already with YouTube, make sure to subscribe. Like this video if you liked it. Leave your thoughts and opinions down in the comments below. Also, make sure to share it, and I'll talk to you guys later.